Right, hi. Day 84. Okay, so we're coming down into this fourth chakra above the head again, to the Jupiter sphere. As it connects him with the kingdom sphere of the spiritual tree. Um, but we're still, on the other hand, we're still meditating in the sphere of severity. And on the mental plane, that is going to be that same area, the fourth chakra above the head. We're hanging around that area. Okay, some interesting stuff about this. Janus. I was just thinking about Janus, right? For various reasons. It's been playing on my mind for a while, but just a bit more recently. Um, okay, it's very easy to find out. There's all these documentaries, right, about Egypt and Egyptian mythology and stuff. And, you can find stuff up about Babylonian mythology, Greek mythology, um, Indian mythology, all kinds of stuff, right? You can find out. Um, but when you go and try to look for Roman mythology, and there's not much about it. They don't really make stuff about it for some reason. It's like, why not? They're the most successful system in many ways. Um, they might have, all you hear about is the collapse of the Roman Empire. But what they fail to mention, and what about the continuity of the Roman power structure when it goes into the Roman Catholic Church? Um, where did it all come from? Where did all these gods come from? And Janus is one of the main gods of the Roman mythology system. The Janus, the two-faced god, is the first god of the beginning of the year. It's named. This is where we get the word the January from. It's named after Janus. Okay. Yep. So he's this two-faced god. Sometimes he's. I'll leave a short video in actually just to give you some background about it. If you don't know much about Janus. Okay. Where's I going to go with this? Okay. Right. The Romans seem to be very successful at war. They outlived the Egyptians, the Greeks, and yet we don't really hear anything much about their. When they talk about the Roman gods, they tend to equate them with the Greek gods, you know, and Janus tends to get left out of the story. But he was actually one of the most important gods to the Romans. He was, in many respects, the most important god. So why don't we ever hear anything about him? It's a cover-up. Okay, and the people that have been, like these Illuminati people, like who have been like controlling the Romans, and controlling the Vatican and stuff. I've been wondering about whether is it. What do they do all this stuff for? Why is it allowed to happen? Is it like does humankind have to just learn to deal with all this shit ourselves, clean up our own mess? Is that a test that we have to go through? Could there be some other reason for it? If they didn't have this dark Illuminati working from behind the scenes, would it mean that the human race would just stagnate and not evolve? We would just go back to living a simple, farming existence, and just basically breed ourselves into, oblivion. Just sort of like waste ourselves away. And it's all the dark forces in the world, and the wars and the stress and everything that keeps us evolving and pushing forward. And it's maybe this Janus aspect, of being able to see both the past and the future, that causes these certain powers or whatever they are, whatever's responsible for making all this sort of like things like this ritual satanic child abuse and stuff. This maybe acts as a kind of irritant on the planet and on the human psyche that causes us to sort of continually be agitated, which causes us to think more and to push ahead and to try to be more spiritual and to understand and to, and to basically evolve. So there could be an actual good intention for all this stuff, even though it's potentially like it's like years of torture for to innocent children, and but there could be. I'm just trying to think, try and keep an open mind. There could possibly be a valid reason for doing it. That like these children are used as sacrificial victims for the greater good. I think that's I don't know. Maybe it's unlikely. I don't know. I'm just trying to keep an open mind about it all. Another aspect of this stuff that's I think is interesting, and it kind of relates to Janus, is this idea I heard of these 20 different timelines or parallel worlds that we can move in and out of. They're like on a scale between really, really horrible and really, really good. One of the ideas about this is I think about is like we could be in a world at a point where we're going to cross over into this new age. Now, there's a sort of like a flux point where there's all these different possible realities that we can, like they're like lanes on a highway. We can choose which one to go by what we think about, direction we go, how we deal with our karma and stuff. And so there's all these different possibilities. Now I'm thinking, if you think too much about and worry too much about some of these negative things, you could just inadvertently steer yourself down a negative pathway just by thinking it and attracting those things. Whereas, so it might be the best way to deal with these things, these really negative things, is to just not think about them and to just focus on other things. But to also know why you're not thinking about them as well. Not just because you don't want to think about them because they're horrible to think about. Do the thinking about them, but then understand that there's no point. You can't do anything about these things. I mean, what can you do? Can you try and raise awareness and get everybody to sort of do something about them? How? How the fuck can you do anything about it? I don't see how it's possible. And just feeling, passionate about it doesn't solve anything. It's a waste of energy. So I don't see the point of doing anything much about it, apart from steering your life into a world where those things can't exist anymore. So at least you'll be going somewhere where those things don't exist. Okay, I reckon these 20 pathways as well relate to the 5 pathways going from the water plane of Pisces going into the air spiritual plane of Aquarius, and operating on the 4 different trees. So you've got 4 lots of 5 pathways that where everybody's heading in one of these 20 pathways, and we can decide now as we go into this fixed sign of Aquarius which pathway on which tree we want to be on. So that gives us 20 different possibilities. Okay, so it's just some stuff.